Coming up on this episode of Free Lunch. Some of the waiting space where the stations are, you have as like the backrest.
Right. So
our skateboard, Supreme skateboard.
So I've been really big. I'm into streetwear.
Are you a skateboarder?
I have to say, I skateboarded a little as a kid, but then my mother always said, there's no way you're going to be out of school for 3 months like the Americans.
The Americans.
And my whole thing is I want them to just walk in, whether they've been here once or 10 times, and it's just like fun zone. Like they come in and they're like, oh, Mom, I thought this was going to be scary. And then they go straight to Pac-Man. And then literally, so I went to school and everybody was freaking out that I had these sneakers. So there was... Maybe I can, you know what, I'll name drop. This kid, Todd McDonald. I haven't seen him in years.
He said I'm gonna throw him out there.
So his dad was like the head of the bank.
You wouldn't believe it. It's actually an orthodontist office. That it's a full-time working
DJ, 8 to 5.
Actual DJ.
Every day.
In this orthodontist office with an insane booth. It's Free Lunch with a special thanks to our sponsors. Gun Safety 203. Firearms training for youth, beginners, and advanced. Get trained the right way the first time. Visit gunsafety203.com. The Michael Stroud Team, Real Estate Excellence. They get you what you want. Visit michaelstroudteam.com. Home Stretch Travels, providing reliable transportation for business, university rideshare, even your treasured pets. Day or night, work or play, when you need a driver, visit homestretchtravels.com. And don't forget our brand placement sponsors this season, Dobie and Rollins Orthodontics. Excellence, excitement, and empathy. Helping you love your smile. Visit www.dr-orthodontics.com. And Daddy Butter. Handmade, all natural hair and skincare made with love by dads. Visit daddybutter.com. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Freestyle Gospel, aka The Real Frii, with another episode of Free Lunch. And we have a special, not only special guest, but a special set today. As you can see, we're in this amazing space. You wouldn't believe it. It's actually an orthodontist office. Yes. And today we have our special guest, Dr. Dobie, the orthodontist.
How you doing,
Thanks
everybody?
for being here, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's my first podcast. So
Look,
cool.
I'm so used to having guests come to the studio. I'm like, thanks for being here. But it's like more like I'm thanking him for having me here.
Well, no, this
is his place.
Yeah, but welcome.
So before we get into the amazing wonder of this place and just your vision, give the audience just a little bit more about Dr. Dobie.
Sure.
Maybe who you are, where you're from, and what got you into orthodontics?
So a little bit of everything. I mean, I was born in England when back in 1981. At the time, actually, my parents were living in Saudi Arabia. So I spent my first 2 years of my life moving from England back to Saudi Arabia, backwards and forwards. Then my dad got a job in New Orleans. So then we flew to New Orleans and started school there. But then my mother always said, there's no way you're going to be out of school for 3 months like the Americans.
The Americans.
She was like, all right. So every summer, it would be like 95 degrees in New Orleans, sweating like crazy. We would leave my dad to sweat it out and work. Yeah. And we would hop on a flight, go back to England. And my mother would put me straight back in school. So I would literally go back to school in England, and then I would be in school for like 6-7 weeks, and then finally we'd break for school in summer in England, and then I get like maybe 2 to 3 weeks, hang out with my friends in England, hop back on a flight back to New Orleans, and it's back to school again. So I basically got like a 2-week, 3-week summer holiday every year.
Nice.
And I did that from kindergarten through 5th grade. 5th grade's also when I got my first pair of Jordans, so we'll tie back into that later.
5th grade?
Yeah.
You lucked out, man.
Yeah,
I think
so
I
I
was
got
like
one pair
almost
my whole
high school
childhood.
before I got a pair of Jordans.
So then we moved back to England for 3 years, and then I was there for all of middle school. And then actually my dad's job, then kind of funding picked up again. So then we moved back to New Orleans for high school. So then I showed back up. Then I did high school in New Orleans, graduated, went to Penn State for undergrad.
Yeah.
Had a little bit too much fun in undergrad, so went back, just worked a regular kind of job for a little bit. Actually went back to University of New Orleans, took some classes, did a 1-year master's in pharmacology. Actually, Hurricane Katrina hit.
Yep.
So I was there, got out just before Katrina. Took me 20 hours to escape to Houston. So we did that, and then I ended up transferring to Texas Tech for a semester while they kind of rebuilt New Orleans. Moved back at Christmas, finished up my master's, then went to LSU for my dental school, and then ended up going to UConn for my orthodontic training, and then graduated and never left.
So were you I think in my mind, I've always had this idea that anybody who's a dentist right now or anything to do with teeth, whether it's like the hygienist or whatever. Like, were you a kid that always just, behaved and took care of your teeth as a kid? Like,
Never
no?
flossed. No, but I was blessed with good teeth in the fact that I never had a cavity. My first cavity I ever got actually was like 5 years ago. So like I made it all the way through, but it was genetics. I was just lucky.
You wait till you get the lab coat and then
start
acting up.
And I flew back to New Orleans to see my dentist that I trust down there because he actually taught me everything I know, and he did all my dad's teeth and everything. So I flew back to see him, and he's like, you got a cavity, right? And I was like, are you serious? Like I made it 35 years, and I got my first cavity.
So you said you had a cavity due to your genetics?
No, I never had cavities as a kid, just because I was lucky with my genetics.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like some kids have softer teeth.
So how'd you end up with a cavity now? You got a sweet tooth?
Too many energy drinks.
Energy drinks.
Yeah.
That's your guilty pleasure.
That's my guilty.
What's your favorite energy drink?
Nos.
Nos?
Yeah.
That's the only one I haven't tried yet.
So I drank,
have you tried Nos?
It's good. I drank so many Nos energy drinks in dental school that me and my best friend, they sent us a t-shirt. And we wore Nos energy drink t-shirts when we took our board exams.
You're like the Nos street team over here.
We were repping them for the exam.
Red Bull was probably the main energy drink. I drank it so much. At some point, it started to, I think, just transform the way my body reacted to it. It started to put me to sleep.
Really?
Like it wasn't doing anything. I knew that you had an accent, but it didn't dawn on me to ask like where you're from. You're clearly not from here.
Some people say Brooklyn, some people say, like Boston. I get Australia.
That's what I was going to go for. Maybe.
So my mother at 18 years old moved to South Africa, lived in South Africa for like 10 to 12 years. Then her sister had moved to Australia.
Wow.
So then she moved to Australia and lived there for over 10 years. So actually, I have an Australian passport, a British passport, and a green card for the U.S.
You have like a huge wealth of just cultural, geographical influence.
So I call my accent Cajun British because it's just a crazy mixture, and nobody can guess it. And every 5 to 10 years, it evolves into another one anyway. So it's like.
But you know what? It's funny because I think we actually touched on the whole cultural piece the last time when I came to take photos.
Right.
But the more you share a bit about your upbringing and like just the background and all these different places, it starts to make more sense.
Yep.
That you can be, this accomplished orthodontist, but still very much attached to the culture.
I feel like everywhere I've lived, I just absorb some of it and then just kind of keep rolling into a new place. And I just embrace where I'm at and where I've kind of come from. And a lot of that is just evolved, it's just kind of adds on every year.
So I recently, came to the place where one of my children needed special care, orthodontist. So that's how how I came across you.
Yep.
And actually at the old office, right? And so it was very much not this.
Yeah.
Okay. When someone walks into a place like this, like when I first came in, I thought I was at the wrong place.
Yep.
The only thing that let me know I was at the right place was because I recognized the lady at the front desk.
We get it all day. People walk in, they're like, "Oh no, never mind. I thought we were in a sneaker store," and they leave.
Yes.
But I mean, to me, then that was my goal. Like I because everybody has anxiety or like they just show up to a dental office and either you've had a bad previous experience,
absolutely,
or your parents had a bad previous experience, or it's just the unknown and it's just like doctors are scary and they think it's going to be painful, it's going to be stressful. So like kids will come to they'll be crying in the waiting room or they'll be like nervous in the car. And my whole thing is I want them to just walk in, whether they've been here once or 10 times, and it's just like fun zone. Like they come in and they're like, "Oh, Mom, I thought this was going to be scary." And then they go straight to Pac-Man. Or like a kid today, as soon as he was getting done his appointment, he was like, "Dad, I'm going to go play Ridge Racer." And he's like, he's playing the arcades.
Yes.
So it's like people are trying to stay longer rather than leave faster.
That's right.
And and that's just great. Then it just makes it an experience, not like a chore to have to come here.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, if you have to go to the dentist twice a year, it's not saying experience doesn't matter, but it's twice a year. You don't have to go that frequently. And as long as you just have a good hygienist, then you're fine with it. But this is something that we almost join in like a marriage for a couple of years. And sometimes if kids come in at 8 years old, they're coming here relatively frequently for sometimes all the way up to age 13. Mm-hmm. So for both parents and patients, you want it to be a place that's like, if I've got to go there 25 times over the next couple of years, like I want it to be a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who, there's some that, catch some of the video and other, a large part of our listener base, are just going to catch this audio. So what I'm going to attempt to do is give my best articulation for someone who can't see.
Sure.
Explaining, what we see here. So when you first walk in, I think my eyes caught the arcades.
Yeah.
Okay, so you first walk into this place, coming around the corner from the elevator, you see what arcades we have. We have
Simpsons.
We have Simpsons,
Ninja Turtles.
Then
it's Miss Pac-Man with Gallagher and all like the Atari games.
Yep.
And then Ridge Racer with the steering wheel.
And then Ridge Racer. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have these arcades with decked out, arcade bar stool type, setup, black leather couches, seating around the arcades. Insane. He's got this LG screen.
It's the Samsung frame TV.
Samsung frame
that
TV.
Everybody thinks it's a piece of artwork, and they'll be making a cup of coffee, and then it'll change in front of them. They freak out. They're like, "Whoa, that's not a painting."
But it literally changes.
Yeah, and every 3 minutes it's a new page. Like I made a slideshow, but
So coming in, your attention is snatched immediately to that, right? But you look to your left and you see this amazing reception desk where awesome, polite ladies there, and just above them, at the head of the reception, is this super cool, what is it, teal green and fuchsia, pink.
So basically, we had this cool. I've always thought it
Dr.
was a cool
Dobie
logo,
logo head with headphones over.
So that was the original logo, where it was basically the D of Dobie Rollins, but it's supposed to look like a doctor. It's also a winking smiley face. So we've had that logo for 8 years, and then now because we've brought this whole music vibe and have a DJ, I'm like, you know what? We need to spice it up a little bit.
Oh, you're getting too far ahead.
Okay,
you told him about the DJ. Okay, so you're coming in, right? Before you even see anything, you hear the DJ for sure, okay?
Yeah.
So I should have backed up, right? So you hear the DJ, but you know what? You don't even know it's a DJ though.
Right.
You don't know it's a DJ. What you think is that it's just the office playing some really cool music.
Sure.
That's what you think, okay? But you find out very quickly that it's a full-time working
DJ, 8 to 5.
Actual DJ.
Every day.
In this orthodontist office. With an insane booth. Make sure you guys are following us everywhere on social media to see these photos of this place, whether it's The Real Frii or at Frii Lunch, Frii Lunch. You got to check this place out, guys. So if you make it past the reception desk, you also instantly see down his kind of walkway, corridor, if you will, leading up to, what would you call these stations?
The clinic, or where all the dental chairs are.
Yeah, so where all the dental chairs are, leading up to that, you have this beautiful display of countless rare Nikes, Jordans, Air Forces, Reebok pumps. I'm a pump guy. You guys know I love my Reebok pumps, Adidas. Insane, you guys. Insane. So it's definitely something that brings anxiety down.
Right.
Instantly.
Yep.
And at least for my kid, it did. We came in here for the first time. She's like, I want to go play on Pac-Man. And mind you, it's her first time having to get, extensive work done. So she's definitely had a ton of anxieties.
Yep.
And so it works. The idea that you had actually works. And you're hearing that from countless of the other families that are coming in here.
Well, because it all started with, I used to wear dress shoes to work, and then I started getting back. I was always into sneakers, and then I got a pair of sneakers that I thought kind of worked with dress slacks. So this was kind of an evolution. So then I started. Honestly, it was the Yeezy Breads.
Okay.
So I got the Yeezy Breads. I started wearing.
You're still wearing those with slacks though.
And I was wearing them with dress slacks,
okay.
a dress shirt, and a tie.
Yeezys.
With Yeezys. And the first day I wore them, kids were freaking out, and they were like, "Oh my God, look what he's wearing!" And then I was like, "I feel like I'm onto something." And then it just spiraled, and then it started to be that I started talking about sneakers more than I was talking about teeth.
Yes.
And then I realized that it meant that kids started to have fun with it.
Exactly.
So then it's okay. So then I got another pair of Yeezys, and I got another pair of sneakers, and then I started to put them in rotation.
Okay.
Then it got to where dads would come in and they're sitting, they would sit down, and dad would be like, "You know how long it took Johnny to get ready this morning?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, he asked me 8 times, "Do you think Dr. Dobie would like these sneakers?
Or
do you think Dobie would like these sneakers?
Is he gonna like these?
Yeah, and they would spend 15 minutes in the morning trying to pick out and he's like, "I wonder what Dr. Dobie's going to wear today." So it became this, I don't want to say a competition, but it was just I would wear my best sneakers to show them, and they would wear their best sneakers to show me, and it just started spiraling. So then I was doing that, and literally again, it was still a dress shirt, dress slacks, and I was pulling this because I always did business casual.
Even these are fire.
Yeah, so these are cool.
Did you just get these?
I got those a month ago. So they're cool. They're like, I think they came out in like 2008. I got them on the go.
I love the jean.
And it's the jean denim.
Just like the high top Forces.
Yeah.
You know they had the jean ones?
Yeah. Oh,
Did you have those?
I don't have them. Actually.
Oh, man.
No, I don't have those.
I try to find those again after they release. A lot of these stuff is like
I have
hard
them in
to
the all
find
black.
again now. Yes, I had the ones that are all black in the color of the Dobie.
Gotcha.
They had the like pink in there.
Yeah. So that's the ones I have.
Yeah, you had the same ones. Yeah. No, you have to get. You know, it'd be cool if you had some custom Reebok pumps with the pump circle being the Dobie.
Is that even
the
Dobie? Can you do like?
There's like
sneaker
doable. Customized. Yeah,
yeah, it's true.
Guys, you get connected with that to do that. So where did your like just love for sneakers come from?
So honestly, I mean, all these kids in my high school, I should say my elementary school had cool sneakers. I never really did. My parents were like English, so they weren't really into it. And like, I just always wanted a pair of Jordans, like forever. And then in '91, the Jordan 6s came out, and I'll never forget it. Like, I went to a sneaker store, like with my mom, and I tried on a pair of Jordan 6s, and it was just like the coolest thing ever. And my mom was like, "Oh, we'll get them." And I'm like, "They're $99.99. Like, no way." This is like in 1991.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like,
Trust me, I know.
I couldn't believe it. And so she did. And so like I got these sneakers, and then literally, so I went to school, and like everybody was freaking out that I had these sneakers. So there was. Maybe I can, you know what, I'll name drop. This kid, Todd McDonald. I haven't seen him in years.
He said I'm a dog out there.
So his dad was like the head of the bank. And like, I never had cool stuff growing up. I just didn't. He always had like nice things.
Yeah.
Well, he had a fake pair of Jordan 6s. So what happened was, like, you know how back in the day when you'd be in classrooms and they would like send like a teacher would be like, "Oh, go drop this message off in another classroom."
Yeah.
So like it was like my second or third day I got the sneakers, and like they gave him a message, and he had to come walking through, and like the whole class was like, "He's got the real Jordan 6." And like,
wow,
it was just like a memorable event as a kid. I was just like on top of the world, and I'll just never forget
Euphoria.
it. Like it was pure euphoria as a kid. It was like the one time, because like I grew up with everything my parents bought was from a garage sale. My mother loves going to thrift stores, so like all my like a lot of stuff. It was just I always got.
I still love going to thrift stores. I found me a mean blazer the other day at the thrift store. Stop playing.
My dad, literally, he used to lecture for NATO in a 3-piece suit that my mother got for 75 cents. Like 25 cents for the pants, 25 cents for the blazer.
Serious?
And he used to lecture for NATO in that. And my dad had a rule. He won't wear a suit unless when he takes it off, he can put it in the washing machine and then the tumble dryer. I'm like, "Dad, you're supposed to dry clean a suit." He's like, "I don't have time for that." But like my dad's old school, and like he just wants ease, and he's not bougie with anything like that. So like so literally, I grew up with everything like that. So when I got that pair of sneakers, it was just like, I don't know, it was empowering as a kid.
No, for
and
sure.
like I treasured that moment forever.
No,
and then
that's awesome.
It came back full circle to literally I want to say I just started residency in Connecticut in like 2010, 2011. And I was home for Christmas, and I was walking in the mall in New Orleans, and I walked by, and I was like, "There's no way those infrared 6s." And I was like, "That's the shoe I got in 1991. And I walked in, and I was like, "What size do you have?" And they're like, we only have one size left. And I was like, I'm like 10 and a half. They're like, "It's a 10 and a half." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Done,
it was destiny.
Done." And then like it just
it
lit
was
a spark.
destiny.
And then I've been buying sneakers ever since. I was like, all my like childhood like great memories. I mean, I wore that sneaker till the sole fell off.
So what up until this point, what is the most expensive sneaker you purchased?
Honestly, probably those mochas.
How
That's
much
up
are
there. Those, honestly, I got a really good deal. I got those for $1,100, but they go
a really good deal, ladies and gentlemen.
But on the go, they go for like $2,000.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah.
Nah, I think the most I paid for a pair of sneakers wasn't even because of the pair of sneakers itself cost that. It was me like paying for the shoes, plus paying for someone to stand in line for me.
Yep.
Plus, like.
But I tell you, I mean, so like when the Yeezys were a big thing and everything was coming out, what I would do is every time there was a Yeezy drop, I would go to the office on a weekend. I would set up every computer at the station, so there'd be like 13 computers. I would bring my laptop, my computer, like my iPad, my cell phone, and I would run around for 3 to 4 hours until I hit. So every single pair to this date, and I have like 19 pairs of Yeezys. Like every pair I got at retail when they dropped. So like most of the sneakers I really do have, I would say 90% of all these sneakers I got at retail. So like I really haven't spent a lot. So don't get me wrong, those mochas are crazy expensive, but like I've always just been on the drops trying to get them when they do. And honestly, most of the time, if I don't get them, then like I just don't get them.
Nah, look, you better than me. Having all those computers, that's a lot of dedication.
It is.
I just pay $150 and have the bot guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get my Nike login information. Like, yo, I need those. Right. Get him. And the bot guy is
I'm gonna need his number.
He's pretty 10 for 10, pretty much. You know, he never fails me. But yeah, I've had someone. I think I've paid someone $200 before to stand in line on a Saturday.
I mean, on a crazy drop, it's worth
like,
it.
I don't want to stand in line from the 3 o'clock in the morning. No, like, who are? It's cold.
Yeah, it is.
Like, what?
Like, there's a pair of, I have an ugly sweater. It's the ugly sweater concept, like Nikes. So it's basically like a high top Nike, and the whole side, it looks like an ugly sweater at Christmas. And I stood
Is that here?
That's not here. I wear that the week of Christmas every year. And
Those are my Christmas shoes.
In 27-degree weather for like 5.5 hours. So I made my girlfriend stand with me, and she was not happy. We stayed the entire, and we got all the way to the front of the line, and we finally got in, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're sold out of your size," and they only had hers. I was like, "You got to be kidding! This was six hours in the freezing."
There was one time I stood outside in the cold, but it wasn't waiting for shoes. It was my last actual audition. I performed at the Apollo now 3 times. So the last final time that I got on the show, my audition for that occasion was it Maryland? I think it was Maryland. And they were holding auditions at some like symphony theater there. And so I had me, my wife, and my 3 kids in the car waiting on the side of the street across from the entrance while I stood out there. People were like laying on crates from like 2 o'clock in the morning all the way up until, I think they start letting people in around 9. But it's because with all of their auditions, they only take like the first 200.
Gotcha.
And then that's it.
So how many hours did you wait?
So it was about 7 hours.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. And like, it's not like, you can walk away and like have someone hold your spot. Like, nah.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Nah, but hey, it goes to show there's something all of us is willing to stand in the cold for.
Exactly.
And yours being sneakers being one of them. Me, I'll pay somebody. So you've been in this space now for how long?
4 to 5 weeks.
4 to 5 weeks.
We opened January 9th.
And for the most part, has the families or the people coming here so far have just been migrators from next door?
Yeah, but I mean, we see we see new patient consults every day.
Oh,
but
okay.
Still, it's like, we see kind of like 1 per hour of a new patient consult. So, I mean, you're never seeing more than 6 new patients in a day.
Okay.
So most of them are existing.
But you actually have, hence the name,
Yep.
Dr. Dobie and Rollins,
Correct,
right?
yes.
So you have a partner
Yep.
here. What's your partner think about this? Because to my knowledge, your partner's not, it's a much older gentleman, and he's not a sneakerhead like you.
He's not.
But you've transformed this place into a whole sneakerhead place.
Yeah.
Well, what was, when you brought the idea to him, what was his thoughts?
I think he knew I was just going to run with it no matter what. So he just, I don't want to say he had to deal with it. But it's also a little bit of the passing of the torch. And he had his dad, I mean, he's been practicing for over 20 years. And I joined him and embraced everything he had. And we've been a great partner together. And it's got to the point where now, it's a little bit of like, it's going to be my future time. And he knew that with this build, whether it's a vision or even a financial, it's kind of like, I'm going to kind of, buy him out, take over the practice. So he knows that I can kind of just take the vision however I like. Yeah. And he only has a couple of years, left before he does retire. So I think it's probably still a little much for him, but he still enjoys it, Like he gets all the parents involved and they get requesting music. I think the music's a little bit different on his days. Like,
absolutely.
Like I like electronic music. We kind of like throughout the day, there's, it gets pretty bumping in here in the afternoon.
And guys, he has in here, like, so the DJ booth is kind of a raised platform just in front of like where he has, kind of the chair, the console, like, stations. And there's like this really cool screen, digital screen where,
So I tell you my thought behind it is literally, so I moved over to digitally planning everything. So kind of the old school way is you would freehand all the braces going on the teeth one by one.
Yeah.
The more kind of modern day approach that not necessarily everybody's doing yet, but you take a 3D scan of the teeth similar to how you would order Invisalign.
Yeah.
Then I use all those 3D models on a computer screen to then decide where I want each brace to go And then each brace is a custom torque and a custom thickness, basically a custom prescription.
Yeah.
So instead of getting the same brace that every patient gets, you get specific ones just for your unique situation. But that means that I have a lot more digital work that I do. I'm planning all the Invisalign, I'm planning all the Clowen custom braces, and I'm doing all that aspect.
Yeah.
So what I noticed is in the previous office, when I was not on the clinic floor, I felt like I just never wanted parents to wonder where's the doctor. So, but at the same time, I need to be at the computer more than I used to be because I got to plan every single case digitally. Yeah. So with this new office, my thought was, okay, well, I love music. I want to embrace this whole thing. And I did. I have a good friend, Chris Feldman, who's an orthodontist in Louisiana. So I went to visit his office, and he had made this little mini DJ booth where it was kind of like he was running it off an iPad, and like it was kind of just like a little podium, and he would just go in there and do work, and it was raised up a little bit. Yeah. So I'm like, that's a great idea. I want to take that, just bring it to the next level. I want to make it a full DJ booth, have a screen on the front, then have a DJ to the side of me, and then I will be next to the DJ, but then I can see when I need to be, I can see when the patient needs me, but then I can also be in the clinic, but also kind of in my office. So then I can digitally plan everything. So it's almost like my office, but I'm in the clinic. Yeah. And it just kind of, I don't know, I love it. It works. Yeah, no, it definitely works. And it's one of the things that, like I said, it not only are the kids excited, but you're, probably by total just happenstance and not that it's your focus, but kind of gotten the parents excited. Right. You were telling me about one of the dads that were psyched about the DJ. Well, I mean, I've had a dad saying I used to scratch vinyl and everything. Yeah, exactly. Can I bring in my turntables? I want to get in the booth and everything. And I was like, we can make this happen. And then I had another, a 70-year-old that was going through treatment, and he laid back and he's looking up at all the crazy lights changing. Yeah, and he's got lights in the ceiling. He's like, man, this place makes me feel like I'm young again. And I was like, I didn't have that. I mean, it's not like I'm saying that wasn't my original goal, but honestly, I mean, obviously my target audience was how can I make this super cool for 11 to 15-year-olds? Yeah. But it's spiraled into all the parents love it. The parents sit there and videotape. I'll have parents requesting songs. But then you go the other way. I had a 7-year-old. It was the second day we were here. And I walk over and he's just you can tell he's just lost in all the, done. Done. And I walk over and I was like, so what do you think? And he's like, I feel like I'm in the future. And I was like, this is crazy. A great quote. Yeah. That, I feel like I'm in the future. That's awesome. Awesome. He literally was just loving it. Mm-hmm. But then, and he was just enjoying it. But then, actually on our first day, we had a 7-year-old that was literally, I was saying before, crying in the car, super nervous. Basically, it was kicking, screaming, I'm not going upstairs. Yeah. And Mom was like, it's not going to be scary. But they actually didn't even know we really had something cool and new. Yeah, yeah. And I was actually really busy that day, so I was bouncing around. So he had 10 to 15 minutes just sitting in the chair before I got over there. And by the time I walked over, Mom was like, I don't think you realize how he was so scared. Yeah. He just asked, when do I get to come back? And I was like, that's amazing. He already is oh no, I want to be back here. Now you have for the seating, some of the waiting space where the stations are, you have as the backrest. Right. So our skateboard, Supreme skateboard. So I've been really big. I'm into streetwear. Are you a skateboarder? I have to say, I skateboarded a little as a kid, but I'm way bigger into streetwear and Supreme. So I have lots of Supreme, whether it's hoodies or t-shirts. So I have a couple of Supreme skateboards hanging in my house. Yeah. So that was actually a vision from my builder. We were literally trying to figure out what could we do as a backrest, and I can't even take credit. He goes, well, what about skateboards? And I was like, you don't even have to say it twice. Done. I was like. Yeah. The skateboard backrest is insane, so it's great. So then what I did is I went out and picked 12 really unique and different Supreme skateboards, and then we integrated them. And then he actually 3D printed and custom milled a little mount. So it's they're floating off of the back wall. Yeah, absolutely. And it's honestly a perfect backrest, but at the same time it pulls a cool color and vibe, and it ties it all in because we had a local graffiti artist come in, and basically I kind of just gave him I said, you know what, we're Dobie, Rollins. Yeah, I forgot, guys. He's got graffiti on the walls in one of the spaces by the DJ booth. Yeah. So what I did is I basically said, listen, I wanted to say DR Ortho for Dobie Rollins Ortho. Yeah. And then I kind of just let him go with his vision. The only one request is there's a famous picture of Notorious B.I.G. where he's got a gold crown on his head and it's tilted to the side and he has a gold chain on. So I said, let's do that over the D of Dobie Rollins, but instead let's make it headphones to tie in with the DJ. Yeah, yeah. So he did that and he crushed it and it came out and it's great. Insane. So it just ties into the whole skateboarders and graffiti art, and
it's
fun.
So what are some of the things, I know you told me the last time I came, some of the other just final pieces you'd like to have added to the space?
Sure.
What are some of those things?
So one of the latest things I just did is so if people are familiar with bear bricks, they're kind of these like little statues, and you can get like, there's ones that are like an inch tall, then they have the 400% ones that get like 11 inches tall, then they have what they call the thousands, which are like, I don't know, 2.5 feet tall.
Where's Eddie? Did we get pictures of the bears?
What I did is I have my old logo, my new logo, my old logo being just this. So I had custom ones, like they're like 52 inches tall made. And then I had one covered in clouds. And then what I did is I took those are all the different schools around. So that's like Camden, Branford, North Haven, all the school colors. I had my logo just done in all the school colors. And then I took the new logo with the headphones and then did that over like a black bear. So that's just like another kind of just cool streetwear. I have bear bricks in my house. I was like, let's just bring that vibe in.
And then you have I know you were telling about a merch space.
Yes. So that's the thing, right when you walk in, I want to do like a big merch wall and have like t-shirts and hoodies and like hats. And I'm still trying to figure out what to do. I'm maybe going to do Dobie dollars or something like that.
Like, Dobie dollars. I like that.
And then
have incentives for these kids.
So then I could, because I actually looked into it, you can have them printed and they'll look like dollars, and then you could logo it or do whatever you want. So then it's like, if I ask you to wear your elastics and you really wear them, you get Dobie dollars. Or like if you're not brushing well and we sit you down, I'm like, listen, you really got to brush your teeth better. We're going to grade you next time. And then if they step up their brushing, you get like Dobie dollars. And then just like being on time, all these little things, and then trying to incentivize it. And then you could then basically like cash those in to get like merch and things like that. So just again, trying to tie it into like good behavior, but then also make it kind of like fun and rewarding. I'm also trying to tie in like sneaker raffles and so maybe you could do
win your own pair.
Yeah. So that's one of the future visions.
That's awesome. All right, so my final question for you is, because this is so unique in the space of dentistry.
Sure.
Right? And I know just like in the medical field, with MDs, there are like these whether it's, I don't know, boards or councils or just these medical groups you guys are all a part of.
Sure.
Right. And whether how connected you are to the individual physicians and doctors within those practices is probably different from person to person.
Yep.
But I do know there's got to be other dentists or orthodontists in the field that know about you.
Yes.
And they also know about what you've done here.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any naysayers in this field that are just who are subtly giving you the tisk?
There could be. I haven't heard any negative energy yet.
Yeah.
But we also haven't done full social media blitzing yet.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely a bunch of people.
We're going to change all of that.
So honestly, I've been not timid for
Dr. Dobie's going to be like, dude, why am I getting all these inboxes?
But I've been waiting for good photography and good video. Before I put out just a little picture that's not great. So when there's good content, then I really want to blast it out. So then I feel like a lot more people in the orthodontic world will really see it. And we actually do on March 16th, I do have an upcoming party where I'm inviting all my referring doctors and hygienists and assistants. So that basically I want everybody in the community that that we work collaboratively with, from a doctor to doctor perspective and a hygienist to us perspective. Nice. I want them to all come and see, and we'll have and basically I want them to see the vision. Because again, I also want them to realize that my goal of this is, it's for an experience. I want kids to leave here and just love it, and then talk to their friends and want to come. So I want them to realize that we have this cool space.
Absolutely.
Send your patients and they'll love it.
I think that's an excellent way to kind of present it to the rest of the industry, the field, is a party like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like a...
And then that way that I can because don't get me wrong,
an open house type of...
There's anytime you have anytime you have, I guess, a nice office, if I want to put it like that, there can be sometimes negative energy. It's somebody could walk in or even a dentist or anybody could just say obviously there was a lot of money spent doing that.
Yeah.
And there can be a negative spin to that. And I don't want it to be that this isn't about showing off.
Yeah,
this isn't about
thing,
I made the coolest office. No, this is about I want the coolest experience. I want every kid to be like honestly, I want every kid to be like, I want to be an orthodontist when they're older. Because like I had a kid say that today, and it's like if 10 more kids a year want to go into my field, just because they saw how much fun it is,
awesome
and they see that like
I
almost have a party every day 8 to 5. I want to have that for my life. Then
Well, you said something to me that was amazing the last time I came too. Is that you said you wanted to go to work, be able to go to work every day, and be surrounded by things you like.
Yeah.
Right. This is. I imagine that that's the same thing other people in other industries, of whether they're small business owners or, it doesn't matter what field you're in. I think everybody wants that same feeling.
Sure.
I think they're not as courageous as you are.
Right.
And I think that's the issue, is that they're afraid to be that bold and that direct with just doing what they love to do, the passion, right? Sure. You love dentistry, you love the field you're in, but you don't want it to be at the cost of another part of you.
Right. And to me, I mean, they always say, if you love something, when it comes to marketing, lean into it and just be authentic. Because I don't think anybody can be in this, not everybody can be in this space. Because I think it would be weird if they didn't love sneakers, if they weren't passionate about music, because then it's almost a disconnect. Yeah. So like even somebody said to me, they're like, oh, I mean, this place is so amazing. You should just like franchise it. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I think I need to be a part of it, because I just think if you hire any random doctor to be here, if they don't embrace it and they don't love it, I don't know if that vision works. Like you really need it to be like connected to like what I'm about.
But I think that's what they have like with other spaces that franchise. I think that's why they have kind of like that kind of vetting process, or it's an investigative process to find out really what those individuals are about. If you did,
because if you're trying to grow, you do have to bring in people that embrace that.
Yeah, it's got to be a party. If it's not, this doesn't work. Right. Like you're clearly excited about the space yourself.
I also think
it translates.
I'm lucky because I am in a part of dentistry too that kind of lets me be fun with it. Because it's not all of dentistry can always be fun. Like if you're doing like a root canal, or you're like pulling out wisdom teeth.
There's some very unfun
there's some unfun things, and sometimes like
there's no amount of music you can do, bro. It's gonna make this fun.
Like, I'm pulling wisdom teeth. Like I have to make you numb. Like so like sometimes in those spaces, like they're just not as. I mean, I have to say it. They're not as lucky, and like they can't lean into it. So if I was an oral surgeon, I don't think I could have this. No. But it's also kind of why I went into orthodontics, because I love having fun at work. And this is a very non-stressful environment for patients and for me. Yeah. And that's something I want to, I didn't want to come to work and be stressed all day long every day. Yeah, like you lose your hair and go gray too quick doing that. So it's.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it. Well, before we wrap up every episode, free lunch, it's free food for your soul. And so what that means on the show is we want to have, just like food edifies the body, we like to leave the audience with something from our guests that can edify the soul. The way food does the body, right? So you'll be no different, Dr. Dobie, from the other guests. What's something you would like to leave our listeners with today, that it could just be whether it's something that we touched on the show today, or something that just pops into your mind that you want someone to leave the show with, something that could edify their spirit?
I mean, I just think that like whatever it is in life that you love, just embrace it, go after it, and just make it happen. Because I didn't always have this straight shot to becoming an orthodontist. Like I thought I was going to be a doctor. I thought I was going to follow my dad's footsteps. Then I went to college, and I didn't do as well as I wanted to. And then I went back to just working a 9-to-5 job, and I didn't love what I was doing every day. Mm-hmm. So I kind of packed up shop, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to grind it out. I'm going to disprove my original GPA, because I felt like it haunted me. I was like, you know what? I've got something to prove. I'm going to come back swinging, and I'm going to work hard. And like now I look back to where I wasn't, I look back and I'm like, I totally could have just not gone down that path. Yeah. I could have just not hustled. And instead I did. I just put my nose to the grindstone and I worked hard. And I have to say, like, I love where I'm at. I think this is my dream come true. Like I've always wanted to have just like a fun, cool office to come to. Yeah. And I've seen people over the years, and everybody's got their different vision of what's a cool, fun office. Mm-hmm. And I've seen everyone and loved it for different reasons. But like I've never had I've owned an office, but I never built one. Yeah. And just the fact that like I got to build it and design it and have like every ounce of it just be like me to the core. Yeah. It truly is my dream come true. And like it's just, if you work hard, you can have your dream come true. And you gotta hustle.
And you said your original GPA. What was your original GPA?
We don't have to say that.
We don't have to say that. Oh, he said he's not gonna give us the original GPA. Oh, how about I'll give you mine. What I was ashamed of. When I went to UConn my freshman year, I got put on academic probation. And you would think that would scare someone into shape. But actually, the next semester was even worse than the first one. I left there with, ultimately, by the way, I ultimately ended up graduating magna cum laude, by the way. So let's put that out there for all the hecklers laughing.
So,
but my original GPA after getting booted out of UConn for my poor grades was 0.04.
wow.
I couldn't even get a 1 in there. Like I just not. I
almost
refused to go to class. I just only wanted to have fun and sleep.
From a comedic standpoint, when I interviewed to get into UConn Ortho, I was sitting in my interview, and I always hope, because you had to send in your undergrad transcript when you apply for residency. And in my mind, I'm like, that was like over 10 years ago. And it's
like, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's not. And I was like, I went to 14 different interviews, and no one mentioned my Penn State transcript except UConn. And that was my number one school I wanted to go to. And I'm sitting there, and he's like thumbing through it, and he's looking, and then like I see him and I know the color of that transcript. I'm like, keep going, don't stop there.
Wow.
And he pulls it out, and he just starts busting out laughing, and I was like, oh, this can't be good. Wow. And he goes, I mean, if only you had just got like the C in the spring instead of the fall, you'd have got every letter of the alphabet, and like you would have gotten A, B, C, D, F all in one semester. And I was like, yeah. And I didn't have an answer. He was like, I don't even want an answer. He's like, you know what? You messed up. I did when I was younger too.
Yeah.
But I snapped out of it. I got my vision straight. I got back on track. And look, you're sitting here now. So obviously, you know what? This transcript doesn't matter because you proved yourself since then. And I was like,
the man.
got out of it. But like,
nice.
You know, it was embarrassing. But I also did tell myself that like then when I went to dental school, I don't want to be in this position. Like I'm going to hustle. I want to be top of my class because like I don't want to be like trying to get in somewhere. I want to basically be able to be like, I want to go where I want to go.
Exactly.
But if you're not at the top, you can't. And getting into dental school, it was scary.
Hey, well, I figured it out. You figured it
There
out.
you go.
We made it.
I appreciate it.
Again, thank you so much, Dr. Dobie, man,
Thanks
for having me.
Hey, thanks for being my first
here
podcast.
in your space, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You can come anytime.
It's free lunch, y'all. Free food for your soul. Peace.